And like, I can't even imagine about you guys.
I know.
The swimming pool is finally there. Apparently, I've not seen it, but the swimming pool
Wow.
that all of us heard about.
Real
Yeah.
life.
So now you should
Yeah.
come whenever you get a chance, whenever you are in Delhi.
Yeah.
You should visit the campus and, stay at least, overnight, if not more. Good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure inviting all of you to this fourth JGLS Young Scholars Colloquium. My name is Anand Prakash Mishra. I'm an associate professor and associate dean in the law school and director of law admissions. And with me today, we have one of our first batch alumni, Vyakti Prakash, 2009-12 LLB graduate, working as a legal counsel, as a corporate lawyer, presently with Cognizant Technology Solutions, and previously with Tata Steel, one of the oldest legal departments of any company or corporation in India. She served there for 5 years. We have Nisha Raman, an associate in White and Case, one of the toppers in her class. I remember her getting a silver medal, like being the second topper in the class, and very bright academically, went to University of Cambridge for an LLM, and presently working in White and Case Abu Dhabi office, right now in London. We have Yoshita Sood, our first year LLB student in the 3-year LLB program, a graduate in mathematics from Miranda House, recently ranked #1 college in the country. I don't know whether Yoshita is aware. The NIRF rankings have put Miranda House as the #1 degree college in India. So Yoshita has studied mathematics, and now she has chosen law, joined first year in the 3-year LLB program. So I strongly believe every student of law is a young scholar. Every alumni, every lawyer is a young scholar. Whoever is working for justice, for rule of law, for ensuring fairness, equity, and in a way giving an order and predictability and a system to the society, to the country, contributes as a young scholar, as a young professional. And this program is to celebrate those people who were in the portals of Jindal Global Law School and now who are serving the country, the world, all over, and also to connect them, our alumni, with some of our existing students on different themes, different ideas related to law, legal profession, legal education, as well as legal practice in India and around the world. So to start with this special colloquium, first I would like to invite Abhivyakti to share her journey as a student of law. Even prior to that, she had a BA degree from Loreto College in Calcutta University, very renowned college. I think it's a women's college.
Right.
And she came all the way from Calcutta in 2009 to study law at Jindal, when the law school was almost unknown to anybody, even in Sonipat and Delhi NCR. And she found it, being in Kolkata, came all the way, spent 3 years on campus, and today, as a corporate lawyer, as a counsel, she has made a career in corporate legal department of 2 top corporations she has worked. So over to you, Abhivakti, to share your academic and professional journey so far, and then we will certainly come back to the today's topic, that is corporate law practice in India and the UK. I would like to throw you some light of your career as a corporate counsel in India, and I would like Nisha to share her experience and entry into the legal profession, particularly in the UK, qualifying as a solicitor and later on joining White & Case Abu Dhabi office. Presently, she has joined us from London. So over to you, Abhivakti.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the introduction and the kind words. Good evening, everyone. As sir said, my name is Abhivakti Prakash, and I'm honored for being given this opportunity to talk about my experience both on campus and in my professional journey so far. So as sir said, I belong to the very first batch of Jindal Global Law School. Hence, when I talk about my experience, I actually want to start from the very beginning. That is the very first day that I came to visit the campus. So when I arrived, everything was under construction. The academic block that you know now had a skeletal appearance. You know, even the steel facade wasn't there. The hostel building was still being covered in cement, and you know, it was a bit of a shocker for me because I flew down from Kolkata just to see the campus. So, you know, I felt extremely disheartened, and then I went to meet Professor Rajkumar, who had set up a temporary office at that time in Bikaji Kama place. And when I met him, I had already made up my mind that there is no college, there is no campus. Where would I join? So I'd already decided by then to not go ahead with JGLS. But then when I met Professor Rajkumar, you know, I was actually bowled over by his vision of the law school and the sheer conviction and enthusiasm that he had for what the future for Jindal University would look like. So, you know, solely on the basis of that one conversation that I had with him, I decided to join Jindal Global Law School, which practically didn't even exist at that point of time. So we literally saw Jindal Global Law School, or OP Jindal University, being built from scratch. And I speak on behalf of most of my batchmates. It became our home from the very first day. As a student, you know, I came from a literature background, and I didn't really have much of an idea on how multifaceted and diverse the legal profession really is. So in that sense, JGLS was an eye-opener for me, and it actually provided me a window to the world at large. You know, the faculty members with whom I work with, and I want to name some of them, like Professor Deepika Jain, Professor Oishik Sarkar, Professor Murthy, you know, Professor Ajay Pandey, Professor Abhay Raj, Amit Bindal. They all of them literally helped me open my mind and open my horizons like I had never experienced in my life. They always took active interest in, you know, my likes, my dislikes, working with me on my strengths, gave me the kind of encouragement the kind of encouragement they would give on any project that I worked on. Actually helped me not just academically, but building my personality in those formidable years. So, you know, basically as a student, I was always confused, you know, as most of us are in that age. So I really had no clue what kind of organization would I want to intern in. You know, I had batchmates, I had friends who knew that, you know, I want to intern twice in Amarchand, and then I want to, you know, do Ketan, but I had no clue. I didn't even know what area of law would I like to pursue internships in. So, you know, the placement division, you know, Professor Deepika Jain, they enabled such diverse internships for me in all 3 years of my course, like starting from the first year where I interned with Justice D.K. Basu, understanding legal aid and litigation. Then in the second year, I got the incredible opportunity to work in United Nations High Commission for Refugees for 3 months, which, really changed my mind and really, really inspired me, about, international law, about human rights. And then towards the end of my third year, I worked in AZB law firm where, I got to understand corporate law and its various machinations. So this was the, basically the diverse sort of internships and exposure that I received during my 3 years in Jindal. And even, I remember towards the end of the year, I got an opportunity to work with senior advocate Menika Guruswamy to draft a few clauses for the Nepal constitution, where I was involved in the research work with her. So, the kind of opportunities that we got even in the very first batch, as the very first batch of JGLS, is something that was unprecedented for any law school, I think. And, as I said, I was confused. So I did a lot of varied courses. I opted for a course like, comparative constitutionalism on one hand. And on the other hand, I did futures and options and infrastructure law. So I never knew what I really wanted to do, basically. So yeah, that is, pretty much about my stay during the 3 years of my academic life. What I realized later is, what we do at work, what we do at a firm or at a company is not something maybe that is taught to us in law school. However, the foundations that are built, the work ethic which is imbibed in us in terms of managing multiple assignments, maintaining timelines, good research skills, presentation, drafting skills, these are invaluable skills which I for sure picked up at JGLS. And it has been a major factor for me for succeeding in any job that I ever did. So definitely, I'm so glad that I took up that decision on the basis of my conversation with Professor Rajkumar to join Jindal Global Law School. So a little bit on my professional life. Basically, when I graduated, I didn't opt for a campus placement. We did get a lot of campus placements, even in the very first batch which graduated in 2012, because I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do, and specifically in that point of time. So I wanted to come back to Kolkata, which is the city where my family was. So they even enabled me an internship in Argus Partners, which is a law firm based out of Kolkata. And I was supposed to get a pre-placement offer from there, but I unfortunately had an accident and I couldn't continue that internship. Eventually, after a couple of months, I began my professional journey as an in-house counsel, and I joined Cognizant Technology Solutions in 2013 as legal counsel. And I got the chance to work in the most incredible legal department. So I basically became a specialized contracts attorney during the next 6 years, where I was working on, strategic partnership and digital business division in Cognizant, where I reviewed, negotiated, and drafted several commercial contracts, which were part of multi-million-dollar deals with the biggest companies in the world. I did a lot of technology law transactions and learned a great deal, about understanding the business and commercial transactions and how to secure the same using appropriate legal paperwork. I managed complex contract negotiations and contributed to multiple teams within the legal department, doing reselling, managed services, technology licensing, working with the core intellectual property team. So basically, much of what I know today is something that I learned in Cognizant, and I owe much of my experience to this job. After 6 years, I got the incredible opportunity to work in Tata Steel Limited in Kolkata, where I joined in the marketing and sales division. So this division had a small team of only 2 more lawyers apart from me, and I was brought in as a POC for all contractual matters for this division. So my work entailed, starting from identifying the need for contract to drafting it, hand-holding businesses through technical aspects, and to structure the entire transaction, basically. Since I was aligned to the sales division, I have had the opportunity to work on a diverse range of issues, from contract manufacturing, channel financing, supply chain functions, distributor dealer functions, procurement related issues, helping especially during this pandemic, helping vendors and processes move towards digitization and securing these, sealing all risks through appropriate paperwork has been a major chunk of work during my tenure there. Then complex tripartite transactions, R&D projects. So I've been exposed to a very good amount of complex commercial transactions during my stay in Tata Steel. I got the opportunity to sit at the negotiating table and speak to some of the stalwarts from the steel industry, automotive industry, massive work on massive infrastructure projects, and even stalwarts from the banking sector. So, in fact, in my very first month in Tata Steel, I had an opportunity to negotiate a very complex contract with the biggest cement manufacturing company. So these kind of things, really contributed towards my experience as a corporate lawyer. In addition to handling, the onslaught of fresh matters and queries and contracts every day, in Tata Steel, there is a specific emphasis to keep yourself updated on latest laws and Supreme Court judgments in Indian, whatever laws are getting updated and everything. So you need to, keep yourself educated and also train the business functions. So every week there would be presentations made by lawyers on relevant Supreme Court judgments, or on consumer issues or taxation related issues. We organized and conducted. I personally conducted multiple seminars for educating business teams on the latest Consumer Protection Act, on Competition Act, on the labor laws. So basically, Tata Steel was a truly enriching experience for me. It really taught me how to look at deals through a microscopic perspective, hand holding, business teams and structuring the deals, and basically, challenging assumptions and then coming up with solutions for the business. So it has been an absolutely incredible opportunity to be part of such an esteemed organization, which is so rich in its history and as Sir also said, has contributed so much towards the building of this nation. So, I wanted to just say that, the legal departments in such big organizations, like both of these organizations, usually consist of quite a large number of people, sometimes as big as a small size law firm, or, even a proper size law firm for that matter. So how does somebody stay relevant or visible in terms of their contribution? What I have experienced is that, doing your job is the bare minimum that you can do, and nobody will give you credit for doing just your job. That is a given. You need to keep yourself updated on laws, help organize seminars, training of the business folk, conduct knowledge sharing sessions. These are things that are considered important in in-house functions, and publish papers. Generally remain as hands-on and proactive as you possibly can for any kind of work that comes your way. After almost 3 years, I started looking out again, because I felt that there are more opportunities that I can seek now. So there was a point in time this year where I got 3 job offers at the same time from 3 very diverse organizations, and literally fighting over one another, giving counter offers to have me in their team. So that was an incredible feeling. That was an incredible feeling, and I eventually chose to go back to a place which I called work, but it actually felt like home. Also because I didn't want to move out of the city. So right now I am back in Cognizant, and I'm working as legal manager there in the intellectual property and technology transactions team. So I want to just, on a final note, I just want to say that essentially for students, it's okay to not know what exactly you want to do. It's okay to not be, super ambitious. It's okay to be even struggling at times. It eventually all falls into place. We have been, and the students here who are, part of the session, we are privileged to be part of an institution that builds such a strong foundation. And if one is open-minded with hard work, patience, and sheer determination, I think every student from Jindal Global Law School has a very bright future. That's all from my end. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Abhivakti. I joined Jindal Global Law School, and the university in 2011. So 2 years after you came, and exactly in September 2011. So I completed 10 years this year.
Right.
Now, when I came, almost everything was in place. But I have seen the pictures, I have heard the stories, and even I know how, I mean, our founding people, the founding team, including Vice Chancellor Professor C. Rajkumar, from acquiring land to building the campus, and Larsen and Toubro undertaking one of their fastest and largest project in their history, where maybe some 5,000, 10,000 workers working together on a campus in a very strict timeline. I'm not surprised what you shared, but today the law school, which was almost, I will say, unknown, is now ranked 76th in the world. We have the largest law faculty in whole of India as well as South Asia. 490 full-time faculty members we have, over 4,000 full-time students on campus. The campus is having approximately 8,000 hostel seats. You know, we are fully residential. We don't allow anybody to come from outside and study. So it's a completely different league. We are recognized as an institution of eminence. And in whole of Asia, we are 16th ranked school. It's a different imagination altogether today, where we are in a global league in this very short span of time, when we are yet to complete 12 years. So I am sitting in this Big Bang conference room, which was the only room available on 30th September 2009. And there were 2 classrooms when you people came for classes. And now from UC Berkeley, we have Aisha, who has joined us, Aisha Jamal. And Aisha is also the first batch, but in the 5-year BA LLB honors program, and presently pursuing her LLM degree after years of experience in the courtroom and otherwise at the University of California, Berkeley Law School. And it is for her that we started our session today at 7 p.m. Because it may be 6:30 a.m. in UC Berkeley, and in our original time at 5 p.m. And imagine, Aisha was ready to join at 4:30 a.m. because she was so, I will say, committed and excited to be a part of meeting all of you and us here in this colloquium. So now I will like to invite Nisha, who works in White & Case after completing her BA LLB honors in the 2016 batch as the silver medalist of the class, and then going to University of Cambridge as a UK India international law scholar. She will throw more light about that scholarship. But Nisha is presently in the Abu Dhabi office of White & Case, a qualified solicitor in the UK, and has joined us from London. So over to you, Nisha.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It's lovely to be part of like a colloquium where, from the university that you sort of started out with, and where my legal journey definitely started out properly. I was at Christ University for 1 year before I joined Jindal, and I chose to make the switch because of reasons, like there were just reasons where I wasn't, I wanted to change in where I was studying, and it definitely turned out to be a great decision for me. Jindal was definitely the best 5 years I think I have had. I will say that unequivocally, even through all of its ups and downs, problems, initial years, forming, like, I am definitely not part of the first batch like Abhivyakti and Aisha, so I haven't seen the extreme foundation construction phase. So I said I was in 2011 I joined. So the university was in, like, the shape, and the structure was already there. There was no massive construction projects for essential services happening. But, it was still a very small university. We only had one super block, and we were the first tenants in that way of that super block. And the boys still stayed in the northwest and central blocks. And, so it was a very compact university in that way. Now, when I was sort of hearing the statistics of 4,000 full-time students and all of that, we were definitely less than around 800, including all the schools, not just the law school. And everyone knew everyone. Everyone spoke to everyone, and everyone was in each other's business and faces. So it was a very compact university. I cannot imagine how much it's grown, and I haven't been there for a few years now. So I've heard it's massive, to say the least. But it's very exciting. As part of my journey, it was also like quite a big move for me, because I'm originally from Bangalore, and more than for me, I think for my family it was a massive move. They just did not understand why, being from Bangalore, when I was already in a Bangalore university doing law for 1 year, why I suddenly wanted to shift and start all over again in Sonipat, Haryana, at a university that was just 2 years old. I would be part of the 3 batch. Everyone pretty much thought I was crazy and had lost my mind, and that their daughter was suddenly down some weird path. But it turned out to be a great decision, obviously, for me, and they all recognize it for sure. So when I started, I think Jindal was formative for me in that, I'll say just at the beginning that it's the reason I'm at White and Case, because my first introduction to White and Case in terms of working was through the internship that White and Case and the Abu Dhabi office the Abu Dhabi office of White and Case and Jindal have. So there's a summer internship that's there every year, and 2 students go, and I was one of them who did it at the end of my 4th year before I begin my 5th year. And that sort of pushed me into applying to the London office for a place. So this is definitely why there's a very clear connect between what I'm doing now, and now life's a full circle when I'm joining back the Abu Dhabi team as an associate. So, but just going back, I guess, to my time at Jindal, I will definitely say that a lot of what Abhivyakti said, that, not knowing, etc., I was not someone who didn't know what I wanted. It's just that what I wanted at that time is not what I resulted in. And it's quite ironic that I'm part of a panel where the topic is corporate law, because through my entire formative, like 4 years, 5 years of Jindal, the only corporate law subject I ever studied was the mandatory BCI company law course. I never took up any elective, despite the thousands of corporate commercial things that we had. I was just like, oh my God, this corporate world, and I'm not going to be part of it. And company law, corporate law is not for me. I wanted to be an international lawyer working in public international law. I did all my courses there. I did moots related to international law. That's literally all I wanted in my life. And then I didn't even do, like, I had never applied to Amar Chand, Trilegal, none of these big law firms that people usually do internships with through their law school. I never did a corporate big internship. I did one in like Dua, just for namesake, that I have on my CV that I've done a corporate internship, and I did it in Bangalore so that I could be at home and, relax and not have to actually want to get something out of it. And I just did other kinds of internships and research based, and I just did what I liked, and not because I wanted to fit into the corporate world. So definitely coming into the corporate world was not planned for me through law school. And then when I did my internship with White and Case, there was a massive switch and a flip in my head as to what I wanted. But even at that point, I was quite unsure. I was doing it because I was having fun. I did the internship because I was like, oh, I'll get to stay in Abu Dhabi for 1 month, and they give you a good internship. It was for very to put it in very blunt words, it was for very petty reasons that I did everything that I did. It wasn't because I thought that, oh, I'm going to have this career and I want to do anything. Even when I applied, even after my Abu Dhabi internship, I applied for the London internship, which eventually got me the job. But when I applied for the London internship, I was already very sure I wanted to do an LLM, and I had already applied to the LLMs. And I was so the applications had gone in, and this internship I was applying for in London was in Jan, and I was like, I'm applying for it. Like, people in Abu Dhabi said, oh, why don't you just give it a shot since you've liked it? You can see what happens. You'll be in London for 2 weeks. So in my head, I was like, great, I want to come to London for my LLM, and it will be amazing because I want to see how I had never been to the UK. So I was like, I don't know how I'll live there for 1 year. So if I go for 2 weeks on a paid internship where, like, everything is sorted out, I'll be in summer for London for 2 weeks on my own, and I can explore the city, and I can figure out, like, logistics of groceries and just very petty reasons I cannot even tell you. That's how it began for me. And then as I did it, I obviously, like, I'm saying all of this, and I'm saying it with the understanding that when I did it with a lot of heart, that I wanted to do a good job. I wasn't giving a half-hearted effort at the work, but there was no long-term, like, I have to achieve. I was doing it because I was having fun. And I think that's what I want to say, that, like, you will do a lot of things through your 5 years. Some you will enjoy, some you won't. Give it your best. And, you never know how things will flip for you, because now I'm suddenly working as commercial corporate as it can be, when that was not the plan, that was not the ambition. And you never know what you will like. So try out everything, do everything in law school, from, like, organizing fests to, like, organizing like actual law based seminars, to mooting, to debating. Try everything and then decide what you like. Don't go in with an impression that you won't like something, or you don't want to try something. You never know what clicks with you ever. So I think that's very important. And then in terms of my journey at how I suddenly am in this whole Whiten case corporate commercial, it sometimes still takes me a second to realize that I'm in a commercial space when this is not what I wanted initially. So I did my LLM in Cambridge, and I did it in public international law. I did it in international law in general. When I applied, I was very sure it was only going to be public international law, but by the time I started my actual LLM, I already had my training contract offer from Whiten case in hand. So at that point, I was like, so given that I'm accepting this thing, maybe I should get some private law, private commercial law experience. So I did some international commercial litigation, and I did international IP as two of my subjects in Cambridge. And then I also did public international law with international criminal law and international environmental law. So I sort of switched, and that was where I was like, okay, I can't be completely going into a corporate career without, like, having done any sort of proper study. So I did that, and then I had to do 2 years of other study for qualification as a solicitor in the UK. That was sort of a Whiten case requirement, where you do a 2-year degree. Each degree is 1 year each, and you sort of do that. It's called the JGLS and the LPC. And after you do that in the UK, you can't just study and then become a solicitor immediately. You have to be practicing for a few years. So that's why they make you do the training contract, where you're working with a law firm if you want to become a solicitor. And those 2 years, you rotate between 4 different departments, at least at Whiten case, that's how it happens. Different firms do it different ways sometimes, but you work in 4 different departments of law. One of the requirements for me is that I had to do a finance seat, because that's the primary area of focus of what Whiten case does. So I had to do a finance seat. And even there, I will say again, I learned a big lesson where I sort of came into, and once I decided, okay, I'm going to be a commercial corporate lawyer, I was like, I only want to do arbitration. I don't want to do anything else. Like, I'm not going to do these hardcore corporate commercial seats. That was not my idea. And because I had to do this one finance seat requirement as part of Whiten case, I was like, okay, I'll do it in my first seat, banking, where first 6 months anyways, I won't know anything, because I've not studied any corporate commercial. I've never thought about working in a law firm. So I'll do these 6 months where I'm going to make mistakes. they won't want to take me back in their team. So it's fine. Anyways, I don't want to work with this finance team. And so I went into it thinking that, okay, it'll be a good training deals. And then I'll do my second seat in arbitration. And after that, I'll only be an arbitration lawyer. My first 6 months again flipped me because I had an amazing bank finance seat. I loved the people I was working with. I loved the kind of deals I was working on. And suddenly I went into my arbitration thinking that, I can try arbitration and maybe this is what I want to do, but finance is not a bad option. So I went into my arbitration seat and then suddenly I realized that, you know what, I don't think I'm an arbitration litigation kind of person. I want to do only finance related work. This is I'm a finance lawyer through and through. I love transactions and working on deals that are high pressure. I can't take the 7 years running arbitrations. That's not my cup of tea. So I went back to then doing 2 seats in finance again. So I did capital markets and I did project finance. And with the project finance, I did energy infrastructure project finance with the Abu Dhabi team for 6 months. And I finally decided to join them because it's an amazing team. I had worked with a lot of the people there before because of my internship. And, you know, they do some of the biggest deals in the Middle East, and Middle East is sort of where the biggest project finance deals happen apart from Africa, because oil and gas, energy, renewables, everything is based out of there in terms of scale. And, you know, so it's a great region to be working out of. So that's why I chose Abu Dhabi finally. And so I began as an associate exactly 2 weeks ago. So I'm still a baby in that sense, and as of being an associate, and I'm sort of getting to terms with you know, how everything works, and it's definitely a new field. But yeah, that's sort of my journey into where I am.
Amazing, Nisha. I still fondly remember you, you know, around the campus. You were too humble, but I must say you were one of the most sincere, hardworking students on campus. Uh, I have seen you studying, reading in libraries, and almost attending 100% of the classes, and also your academic performance says so. The kind of internships you did, you utilized almost every day, every moment of your 5-year law program. But new fact, I knew that you completed 1 year at another university and came to Jindal. This was, I didn't know this, because every year I meet some students who come to me with the first and second semester mark sheet of one law school or other, and they request me if they can be put in the second year directly and not in the first year. I remember one of the boys who came from a very reputed law school, and he was one of the toppers in his class in his law school in Lucknow, and he wanted entry in the second year if possible. But law school admission rules doesn't allow that, even if howsoever good academic record you have. So he chose to actually, in a way, waste a year and be a student at Jindal Global Law School in the 12-17 batch. Now he has also become a good technology lawyer, working from, I think, Lucknow or Delhi or both the places. It's such a pleasure, Nisha, hearing your story. Now I'm coming to our third panelist, who took all the pain to make this colloquium a success, joining us at a very early morning from UC Berkeley. And it's actually the second LLM degree of Aisha. She already have, after the first degree in law, BA LLB honors from Jindal Global Law School in the first batch, 914 batch. She has worked extensively in the litigation field, in courtrooms, even as retainers with companies, even as associate lawyer with someone like senior advocate Salman Khurshid, and then taking a call to pursue another LLM degree at University of California, Berkeley. It's a great, I will say, dynamism And also, I wish all the best to you, Aisha, for this amazing journey you have undertaken. And thank you so much for joining so early in the morning to make our colloquium even a bigger success. So over to you, Aisha. And after this, introductory part is over, we will have some discussion about corporate law practice topic, but more so, I will like the audience who are attending this session, not just in the Zoom session, but also on YouTube and Facebook accounts of OP Jindal Global University, to ask questions. They can post questions in the chat box here, and we'll be taking them up after our first round of introduction and discussion about the topic. So over to you, Aisha.
Good evening, everyone. It's actually an honor to be here, and I apologize for being about 10-15 minutes late. Hi, Jojo. It's so good to see you. Hi, Yoshita. Hi, Nisha. Sir, thank you very much, and I'm okay and apologetic for being a little late. I have an exam every Sunday here, and I was just preparing for that, so it's a little tight. To start with, I would say that when I came to Jindal, I made this very conscious decision. I got through a couple of other good, I got through RG, NUL, and I got through IP University, but I had heard about Jindal Global Law School from a family friend who's 91 years old now. So he must be 81 years old back then, but he really convinced my father that although it's an upcoming place and it's new, but you have to send her there. And my father really listens to him like, as a younger brother to him. And I'm so grateful to him that I was there, because it was a big decision to come to a place which was just starting up. And I remember that day in September when we had come for the registration, and I still remember it was 3rd of October 2009 when we joined, and Dr. YSR Murthy was sitting in this tent and we were doing the registration, and my parents were more nervous because it was just 100 students from our batch, and then the LLB batch joined. But I must tell you that, and obviously when you're 17 years old, you feel like a little lamb in a new place, and you feel that there are no seniors there's no seniors who will rag us, but this place is new and the faculty is new with us. So it was a very exciting experience, and I must say that it was a life altering experience for me in hindsight. And I feel that I did not come with any kind of planning or agenda. I think at 17 you're too young to decide what you want to do. So you start with being so ambitious that I'm going to go to the UN. Then by second year you say I want to do litigation. Third year you start mooting, you get tired, you say I don't want to do litigation. Then something tells you want to do corporate law, and by the time you're in the fifth year, this is all for me, it's true for me, I'm sure it differs for everybody. By the time you're in the fifth year, you don't know what you want to do when you've actually studied everything. So Jindal was actually a life-altering experience for me. I wrote to Dr. Rajkumar after I came here, and I told him that the kind of vertical integration we got at Jindal was excellent. And you understand these things in hindsight when you work for a couple of years and you look back and you realize that there was so much which was contributed to me as a person from this institution, which is helpful today. So the first day at Berkeley, when I went to the classroom, I just thought of T1 academic block, because the classrooms are so similar. And this is not flattery. And I wrote this to Dr. Rajkumar in the email, that memory just came back to me. The arch tables and, the everything, we saw that back in 2009. I was fortunate enough that Jindal gave me the opportunity. I went and won a national moot for the university. I was into national debating. The integration with faculty, I think, was one of the major stepping stones for the exposure we had. In 2011, I went to NYU for a month to study jurisprudence and constitutional law on scholarship. So then again, Dr. Rajkumar and the Dean for international admissions, I think that time it was Professor Yugang Goyal. So he really helped me. He was very helpful in my interview. He prepared me for that. And obviously I never thought, but when I did leave college in 2014, it was June, I never thought that I would miss college so much, but I think it was the best 5 years of your student life. It was certainly not my school. And I'll say this without meaning any disrespect to my school. But the 5 years I had in, the South Block and then the Central Block and the Super Block, I will never forget that. And you don't get that feeling here because in Berkeley, you have, it's obviously a great institution. I'll talk about what happened in the middle. But there are 42,000 students here because it's a large public university, and God is very kind. It's the #1 public university in the world, but it has 42,000 students here. So you're just lost. The undergraduate students get university housing. Postgraduates have to find housing for themselves. They have all kinds of disciplines, of course. But coming back to Jindal, 2014, I sat for the placements because I was nervous. I didn't know what to do. My attendance used to be 95% because the faculty was so good. And if you attend class, I feel personally, you don't need to study that hard before your exams if you just pay attention. And I think the faculty is one of the major reasons for you to come to class, besides your own motivation. Of course, you can be motivated, but you're not that motivated at 17, 18, 19, or 20. So I would really give it to the faculty. I remember Professor Deepika Jain, Professor Cholia, Professor Yugang, Professor Amit Bindal, and I remember all of them, and I'm in touch with some of them. They were obviously very helpful again in recommending me for this place. I got through economic laws practice, the law firm, their Bombay office, as a tax lawyer from Jindal, and I remember Mr. Suhail Nathani interviewed me. But my batchmate, who's a good friend of mine, Alokik Pratap Singh, and myself, we both got through ELP, and because of some wild thought in our mind, we decided not to join and to take, because we were trying to be very adventurous. And he went on, and he's done very well for himself. He went on to do a clerkship with Justice Pratibha Rani, and I thought that I want to write the Delhi Judicial Service exam, which I did unsuccessfully, and then it didn't happen for 3 years because of some systemic complication. But then again, our batchmate, who's also a friend of mine, Dev Chaudhary, he was persistent, and now he's a magistrate in Saket. He continually practiced in Chandigarh and kept writing the exam. And that's when in 2015, I started working in Delhi High Court with a couple of friends. I thought I need to learn litigation. So for me, it started from Patiala House and Delhi High Court because I always loved mooting. And after 18 months of working, I joined Mr. Khurshid's chamber. And obviously, when you begin, all kinds of cases are thrown at you. So the first case I did was actually a matrimonial case, which was being contested at all 3 high courts, the lower court, Delhi High Court, and Supreme Court, in different facets, of course. So it was actually a nightmare to begin with that kind of a complicated case. But over the years, I think that there is for a lawyer, there is nothing more addictive than litigation. And I enjoyed it so much that I stuck there for 4 years, and 4.5 years almost. And then, like Jindal itself, Mr. Khurshid's office is also an excellent pedestal for integration and for exposure. So in 2019, I got enrolled with 3 panels of the Delhi government, which were DDA, DSIDC, and Delhi Urban Shelter Improvement Board. So I represented them in Delhi High Court, and that exposure again was excellent. But I must say that that exposure came because of the 2 platforms I had, which was being at Jindal and then being associated with Mr. Khurshid's office, which was again very, very good exposure. Then I was trying to figure out another facet of myself. So in 2019, with 2 of my friends who worked in Luthra before, I opened a small law firm called Crystal Legal in Bhopal because they are from Bhopal. And we worked for the state government. I'm still associated with them informally. So we represent 12 departments for the state government. And because Madhya Pradesh has 3 high court benches and 1 NGT bench, we've significantly expanded. I don't like to, I don't know how to say this. I feel very grateful that we have a team of 4 juniors who we work with. Then that law firm went on for about 2 years till I got here. I had to informally engage myself now because formally I had to be off paper while coming from there. I decided to study law and technology because it was something I had never done before. So it was a little scary because these subjects I didn't study. I only studied intellectual property in Jindal as a subject of interest, and I managed to get a good grade, but it really did not internalize in me because I think at that time I couldn't absorb that much. The faculty was excellent. Professor Sunita Tripathi, I remember her, but I personally, I understood it. I remember I got an A+, but that was more out of the fear of failing that I studied so much. I thought I'll really fail. So I studied so much, but I didn't really get the grasp of it. And it was always something which was lacking. So when I was coming here, I decided that I'll choose law and technology. So Berkeley has this program that you can do your master's with a specialization in law and technology, but it has to be with the cross course in their business school. That's called the Haas School of Business. So I register there in the next semester, because this semester I have to finish all my technology credits, and they have some requirements by the American Bar Association. So that has been my journey so far. I must say that in 2019, again, with Mr. Ravindra Srivastav, whose son also happened to be our batchmate in Jindal, I had gone to Chatham House in London for this International Commercial Arbitration Conference, which was hosted by the Indian High Commissioner in the UK, but the Chief Justice of England was the chair in that, and we had very good exposure again. We met a lot of Queen's Counsels, and I do a little bit of arbitration. I did that a little bit of arbitration in Delhi. So that was my little window to international commercial arbitration. So the journey's been very exciting so far. I still don't know what I want to do next, but I say that, what you're doing, just enjoy that and try to do your best. We can't excel at everything, but we should try and just enjoy it. I don't know what happens after this, but I'm loving studying artificial intelligence, and I have my fingers crossed to take it on from here. Thank you, sir. I think sir's okay, he's back.
So Aisha, I wished I would have started this colloquium few years back, because our alumni, our students, we're all, the way you have progressed, each one of you. If I look at our 914 batch today, almost each of the graduates have met their way, and most of them completely on their own. And that is the power of good education. That is the power of a great campus. That is the power of, I will say, the transformational ability of a university, of a campus, where you join after class 12 or after, say, undergrad degree like Yoshita. And when you graduate, you are an absolutely new person, a new individual. So now our youngest panelist, Yoshita Sood, I will say just 1 month old in the law school, or
2 weeks.
Yes, 2 months. So our though classes started a month back, but you joined 2 months back. That's wonderful.
No, I joined 2 weeks late, so I just have 2 weeks of experience.
Oh, only 2 weeks. Okay, wonderful. But Yoshita has an interesting background. She comes with a mathematics honors degree from Miranda House, one of the top colleges in the North Campus of Delhi University. She has studied at MET International School in Gurgaon and also in Salwan Public School in Delhi. I can see what she has done, not just studying mathematics at Miranda House, but also contributing a lot to societies like Women Development Cell, Enactus in Miranda House, and also worked as social media intern with some organization. And even in the Department of Mathematics, she has handled their media and even worked as a research intern, as a content writer, even worked with Center for Civil Society. And she has interest not just in mathematics and law, but also public policy. So our young member, ideally she should have come first, but I wanted her to hear from her seniors before, she comes to share her views about, say, studying at the North Campus in University of Delhi and her decision to join the LLB honors program, the 3-year LLB program at Jindal Global Law School. So over to you, Yoshita, and such a pleasure having you in this panel.
Thank you so much, sir. I am very grateful to be in this panel, especially with so many successful panelists and alumni of Jindal. I don't really have a lot of experience since I just started law school. I graduated from Miranda House with a degree in mathematics, and my journey to Jindal has not been less than a roller coaster. So I decided to pursue law back in my 11th and 12th grade because I knew I was definitely not cut out for either engineering or medical. My main goal was clearing CLAT in 2018, but because I didn't get into the top NLUs, my parents and I decided that it's better if I do my undergraduation from Delhi University, since the field of law is not cut off after doing undergrad. I can still pursue my 3-year LLB degree. And I got decent marks in my CBSE boards, and I chose to study my favorite subject at that time, which was definitely mathematics. It was a respite from all other STEM subjects, especially physics, because I could understand what I'm studying, why am I studying, and I could understand its applicability in real life. And that was the main thing I respected, the clear-cut practicability of the subject. DU again was never really my first choice since my priority was getting into law school. In fact, I was not even aware of Miranda's legacy until my second semester when my friends informed me about the huge history behind it. But I'll say that the 3 years I spent there have been nothing short of a very memorable and enjoyable experience for me. I was exposed to a plethora of people from all spheres of life and with very different opinions. And I was surrounded with ideas which were very fascinating in nature. There is a specific freedom that comes with a girls' college, and you can pursue anything you want without being worried of anything. So in my first year, I was dabbling with the idea of pursuing an MBA mainly because I was into an social entrepreneurship society. But as the semesters went on, I dropped that idea because it wasn't entirely suited to me as my personality went. The idea of law came again to me in my second year when I realized that my relationship with maths will stop in my undergrad, because as semesters went on, it became more theoretical and we were completely varying from the practical aspect of it. So to explore my decision to continue with law, I interned with multiple institutions and think tanks like Center of Civil Society, Policy Monks, and Institute of Social Responsibility and Accountability. There we dabbled a lot with law and policy, and that is where my decision somehow started cementing. During the pandemic, in my third year, at the beginning of my third year, I was 100% sure this is what I want to pursue. And during the pandemic, I joined an online reading circle where people all over the world, lecturers, PhD scholars, would discuss papers with basically they were on the topics of law in intersection with feminism, politics, and classism. By then, I was 100% sure that this is what I want to do. Then came the question of deciding where I want to go, because the options for the 3-year degree are already pretty limited in India, considering all NLUs just have the 5-year and the LLM option. So, and there we decided undoubtedly Jindal is one of the best. I prefer Jindal over any other government university just because of the excellent education provided here. It has been just 2 weeks of me attending classes, but I can say the professors are the best I've ever had during my whole education, including my school and my undergraduation degree too. In foresight, I think a 3-year degree was much better than a 5-year degree for me personally, because I cannot commit to a decision permanently, especially at such a young age when you're mere 18. And I think all these varying experiences at Miranda House, exposure to all the people and the ideas and societies, made me 100% sure yes, this is what I want to pursue, and made me confident in my decision. In spite of the 2-week classes, studying doesn't seem like a chore right now, and that is very revelatory for me. And maybe it's also the first semester enthusiasm that every first semester kid has of doing extremely well in all classes and doing everything and looking for internships. But I enjoy every single subject right now, especially crimes. It feels like the perfect blend of philosophy, from which I always shied away, and hard cutting facts. what I've realized is law school is obviously very stressful, and it seems like there is never enough time in a day to finish all the tasks that you have to do, including the readings for the next day, revising previous week's work, and just analyzing what I want to do, and just having, other being in societies, etc. But our professors are extremely helpful, and they make an extra effort to make us understand the crux of each topic rather than just studying it superficially. My main decision to join Jindal was that I did not want to compromise on the quality of education, since this is the degree which will be foundational to my career. Like Abhivakti ma'am said, there is a catena of opportunities available at Jindal, and I'm excited to study constitutional law the most in my future semesters, mainly because I spent a year studying the constitution for my entrances. Again, the international exposure provided here is amazing, and I plan on using this either to do the semester abroad or the dual JD program, which Jindal has in collaboration with the Cornell Law School. As right now, my plan is to settle probably in the United States after my graduation. Again, there are so many opportunities at Jindal apart from academics. I definitely look forward to joining the Moot Court Society next semester. I have been learning so much about it, and it's very exciting, meeting so many people and spending months on a moot court with different people and coaches, and then going to maybe a different city and debating with so many people there. And I look forward to joining the Center for Justice, Society and Law. I think the research centers at Jindal are the best, and there's a very great exposure that I can hone my drafting skills and my research skills altogether. I also have my eye set on the legal aid clinic, since I think the learning scope there is expansive. I feel like I have an added advantage due to my mathematics degree, just because I can bring a scientific perspective, especially in areas of technology law, which I would like to pursue in the future, because it seems very interesting to me right now. Also, after listening to all the three panelists here, it has made me more stoked for my time at Jindal, just because I know you can achieve so many things and there are so many opportunities available. It just depends on the person and how you want to grab it. And I'm very excited for my future, and I cannot wait to see what it brings. So that's it from my side, Professor. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Yoshita. I'm so delighted that you joined this panel at a very short notice, and I wanted to ensure that this session doesn't conflict with your classes, and you should not be in a dilemma, or I don't want any student to miss a class at our law school, which indeed, as you told, the faculty members put their heart and soul in whatever course they are teaching. And also, the Jindal's teaching is a bit different from a lot of institutions. The way a comparative and international perspective is brought in almost every course. And also, the teaching is more based on, I will say, reading and discussion and debate, and encouraging students to come up with original ideas and thinking, and not just any learning on, say, pure what a lot of law colleges do in terms of referring to the Bear Acts and a section-wise analysis of various laws. It's a purely case law and legal problems-based teaching. So I'm sure, Yoshita, you have a long way to go, and it's a great beginning you had. Now we have started getting questions. For Nisha Raman, there are two questions. One asked by Shreya J. Shreya has asked, when did you decide to pursue an LM degree? Even after receiving the training contract from White & Case, or prior to that? And was LLM degree a valuable addition to your entry in the White & Case and in this corporate law profession? The other question for Nisha is, what is the difference between your experience at the Abu Dhabi office and the London office, two different offices of White & Case, which is indeed one of the largest global law firm in the world. But I understand it's a firm with over 4,000 lawyers and having offices almost in most of the big cities of the world. So this question of Himanshu is a comparison between the two offices in London and Abu Dhabi and your experience. So over to you, Nisha.
Even after 1.5 years of virtual events, you forget to unmute yourself sometimes and continue talking. It's not going to go away. So no, thank you for both questions. So the question from Shreya, I think first was about my LLM and then how and why I decided to pursue it, or whether I decided to pursue it even after I got the training contract. So it was kind of funny in the sense that the LLM was, it was sort of like a goal vision of mine since my third year of university. I knew I wanted to do an LLM. I knew I wanted to do an LLM in international law because that was the only thing I was interested in. And all the professors were quite clear that, especially in public international law, if you do not do an LLM, getting a job is quite difficult because, you know, you just lack experience. You just don't learn. Usually you don't learn enough about public international law in university. Our university is a bit of an exception where there are 15,000 courses in public international law, which are always offered, but that's not the case for every university where, you know, it's only probably the basic public international law course required by the BCI that's sort of offered. But despite the fact that this was there, it's just not common to get a job and right after your undergrad degree, and they expect not only some LLM, but even more if you do like a PhD, etc. It increases your chances of getting a job. Also, it's just better exposure for you in terms of understanding actually what public international law is if you don't have an idea, if you haven't had that background. So I always was very straight that, okay, I'm doing a public international law LLM, and then I'm going to go into the UN, and like, you know, that's going to be my path. I'll be working in this, you know, this entire public international law phase, being away from the corporate world. And that was sort of my plan. And clearly it worked out great, being very sarcastic, but like, no, so that's sort of where it started. So once I got, and I was applying for my LLM in my 5th year, and I was very set that, you know, I knew I wanted to do a LLM in Cambridge. That was pretty much my ambition since my 3rd, 4th year, because of the kind of public international law course they had. So I was doing this, and like I said earlier, like this corporate law working at White & Case wasn't in my horizon. In my 4th year ending, like while I was starting to apply and prepare for my applications, is when I first did my internship with the Abu Dhabi office at White & Case. And that was, you know, a bit of a changer for me when I went there for 1 month. And then I did a second 1-month internship in the winter break once I was finished with my LLM applications. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to apply for the London internship and think about a job maybe. But even then, I got my offer for the Cambridge LLM in April, and I got my offer for the training contract in July of the same year. So it was 3 months after I got my LLM. I'd accepted my LLM offer, and actually my dad asked me a very pertinent question once I got my job offer. He's like, are you sure you still want to go ahead with this LLM? Like, you know, like, why don't you just start your study for your job? Because I had to do 2 years of study anyways for my before I started my training contract. So he's like, do you want to add an extra year? You've already studied 6 years of law. You're now going to add on 3 more years of studying law and then do your 2-year contract and then become an associate. You're creating like a really long path for yourself. But no, I was very sure that because it was a dream of mine since 3rd year of university, I was going to go ahead and do my LLM. I was very sure, and I'm a very strong believer that learning, and yes, I completely agree that law school doesn't really sometimes prepare you substantively in terms of the law for the real world. It's not like I sat and I studied that one section in this one particular act and it has changed my life. It doesn't happen like that, right? Because it's very different especially in the corporate sphere. It's a lot more commercial. It's very different. But the basis and like I think others have said as well, it's about the kind of experience you have in terms of preparing, the drafting skills that you get, the exposure to presentations that sometimes happen that improve upon how you like talk about something. I think those are skills which are invaluable, and particularly for the LLM, it was honestly something I did for myself because it was a passion of mine, and I honestly love studying law, not just practicing it. People do ask me how I studied it for 9 years in university, just going to law school, being a law student. It did feel like a very long time, but I will definitely say it was worth it because I enjoyed the study of law. And then doing the training contract was natural because by that time I realized this is something I really liked. I wanted to qualify as a solicitor in the UK because, I thought it was a great opportunity to be a part of a firm that I enjoyed working at. So yes, the decision between LLM and this training contract wasn't very difficult for me, and the firm was anyways willing to let me start only in around 2018, 2019, and they were willing to extend it for a year and have me start in 2019 on the job. So that wasn't a very big decision. It was very comfortable and something I did for myself, and it worked out well. For the second question by Himanshu, the difference of interning between London and Abu Dhabi, I would say that there's no real difference because now I've also worked in the London office for for 1.5 years, but the past 6-7 months is when I've been with the Abu Dhabi office first as a trainee and now as an associate. But it hasn't been. Okay, it's different in some ways in the sense that obviously the London office is a much bigger office just in terms of the number of departments. It's one of our biggest offices apart from New York in terms of it has every single practice area. It covers most practice areas that the firm offers services in. So it's different in that scale of the kind of exposure to the different people that you get, the scale of just sheer volume of people you interact with. And Abu Dhabi office is obviously a much nicher office because it concentrates on project finance and the region. Middle East is known for its, massive oil, energy, infrastructure projects. So it's very niche in that way that the project finance teams and like the very corporate and capital markets teams are the bigger teams that are there. So it's a much smaller office in some ways, but it's large in its scale of the volume of work that it does, of course. But because of the kind of firm that White & Case is, I am still working with teams across the world. Just because I'm in the London office doesn't mean I'm working only with London teams. When I was working in the London office, I was still on matters and transactions with teams in Moscow. I was on transactions with teams in Prague. I was in transactions with, basically all our other offices. That's one thing that White & Case does 100% promote, that you are not going to be located on, you're not going to be working only on the location that you're in, because all the transactions that are undertaken by the firm are massive transactions that 100% always include multiple jurisdictions. So we have our own lawyers, sometimes local law firms that work with us. So on different transactions, you're never working just in London if you're in London. And in the same way, if I'm in Abu Dhabi now, for the past 4 months, I've been on transactions with the London team, which is because that's just how the transaction is based. I was on a deal for a couple of weeks with the Moscow team. I was on a deal with, Dubai. So basically what I'm trying to get at is that with White & Case, you might be based in any office, but you will always be working with other offices across the world, because it's never going to be a transaction that is only in one jurisdiction. So my experience is great in both places. It's just a choice of what I want to focus on more. My preference was to do Middle East project finance deals because that's what I find interesting. And I also had personal reasons for wanting to move closer to India, which is why I chose Abu Dhabi. But the firm overall just offers you a very similar experience. If you do an internship in one, you get a very good idea of what the other internship would be like for sure. And yeah, it's just smaller differences in kinds of work you do.
So wonderful, Nisha. We are actually coming to the, end of the session. We have spent around 75 minutes. And there is one question from Aisha, which is she has tried to answer in the chat itself, but it was primarily about which law school to choose either in the UK or United States for both undergrad plus postgraduate studies. She has given a good response about the United States model of legal education, where you need to have 16 years of education, a 4-year undergrad, before you pursue the 3-year Juris Doctor or JD degree. And in a way, after class 12, it's a 4 plus 3, 7 years of studies needed to become a law graduate. Unlike in India, where you do either a 5-year law program or a 3-year LLB program after first degree. So I will like to if you want to add anything to it, but one question I have from Abhivyakti before we exit is she had chosen the corporate legal department, or I will say the general counsel's route, which has not been a very popular pathway for a lot of students of law to join companies or corporate legal departments. Tata's or Cognizant, or for that matter, even almost every big corporation, every bank, every insurance company, every company and corporation today have large legal departments. And rightly you said some of them of the size of a law firm. So I will like to, closing remarks, your message for the young students of law who may be attending this session, and also a career as a corporate counsel, as a legal counsel in the companies, vis-a-vis law firms, vis-a-vis other options. What are your views about it?
Sure, sir. So, as you said rightly, it is not the most popular choice for students, mostly because, I don't think people are really very familiar with it, especially in the campus and the college, because for college placements, you either have law firms coming in, or you're going to, do internships to these larger, for either for litigation or for other organizations. We rarely see students getting internships, in companies as such. Although Tata Steel does take interns, Cognizant does take interns, but it's not something that is a regular phenomenon, and probably that is the reason why students are lesser aware about these opportunities. But having worked in 2 companies, it's by no means a lesser job. It's by no means something not as fulfilling as a litigating career, or as a complete law firm based career. You get a lot of opportunities to learn. Any corporate has, the legal department has multiple divisions. So there is a real estate division, there is an HR division, there is your contracts division, then there is multiple. So within the legal department as well, there is a dedicated litigation department, obviously. So within a organization, you have the choice and the ability to specialize. That is the biggest advantage, the ability to specialize in a corporate function like this. And you're able to basically, if you want, you're not liking, suppose you're bored of doing contracts, you can definitely move to the litigation department. Like any law firm where you choose your vertical, you can do the same in a company as well. So the options, the learnings is as much as in a company is as much as it's there in a law firm or in litigation. You get to know the company, understand the business inside out. So that the biggest challenge that you will face when you join a company is to understand the business. Even if you're working in a law firm, or as a litigating lawyer, you will have to understand the business, and you will have to get into the nitty-gritties of the transaction. But unlike a corporate, a company based, an in-house counsel or a general counsel function, there you have to step into the shoes of the business person. You have to put your thinking cap as a business person and as well as a lawyer. So I think it's it is a very enriching experience. If you specifically, if you're in a 3-year program and you've already done your BBA or your BCom, or even from the arts background like I did, I had no problem whatsoever. I have learned a lot about technology law. I have also learned a lot about manufacturing from my experience in Tata Steel. So anybody with any kind of background can become a part of an in-house function or a general counsel role. So I would, actually, these companies actively do take interns, and I've seen and I've worked with interns from our college as well in both these companies. So I'm glad that slowly it's picking up, and I would love to see freshers also joining these companies, like me and Anaga from my batchmate. Both of us we joined Cognizant as freshers. So this is something that I would definitely encourage young law students to definitely aspire to and apply to more companies for in-house positions. I hope that answers the question, sir.
Absolutely. I mean, you gave such a good response. This is going to inspire a lot of younger students in future who are going to think about, choosing corporate law departments. Because it's not something of 50s or 60s or 70s when 1 or 2 lawyers used to be the law department along with few clerical staff. I mean, today, some of the banks I hear are having law departments of size of 500 lawyers working together, or companies like Tata Sons, or overall, I mean, Tata Steel, the entire group, maybe having 1,000 lawyers working in their different offices all over the country, around the world. So as a law school, what we do at Jindal for last 3 years, our Office of Career Services, rather 5 years, I will say, these 2 years have been virtual, but we invited general counsels of companies to campus and organize a GC meet where only the leaders of various legal departments and a lot of companies, from banks to Flipkart to a lot of companies whose counsels have visited the university and have spent a day talking about what general counsels do and all that. So now some closing remark from Aisha for the young students of law as well as law aspirants who might be attending this session.
Well, to start with, thank you, Professor. This was very exciting, and I feel so much closer to home being a part of this colloquium. I think we should do this more often, and I don't, I know I'm indirectly saying that please call me again, but I would love to be here again. To start with, I'll tell everybody who's in law school or who's planning to go to law school, like these days I see we used to have a lot of, in our office with Mr. Khurshid, we had about 15 interns a month. And interns are very anxious, about what is going to happen next. And I remember my internship days also. Well, I was not that anxious, but then it also depends from person to person. I was more relaxed and lazy, I would say. But I think when you're 5 years, especially for people in Jindal, because I was studying there for 5 years, I think you should just enjoy and embrace the journey and focus on your studies, because studies are important. I have never been any kind of topper, to be honest, but yes, I have done my studies sincerely. I've understood what I'm studying, because you need to internalize it. But I think 5 years is a long time, and the experiences that Jindal gives you and the opportunities, which are not just academic, of course, they go way beyond. So I think you just enjoy the journey for 5 years and everything will turn out well. I personally feel that students today, because I've seen 4 years of batches of interns, so that's 48 batches of interns, they're excessively anxious about what happens. And of course, I understand that with the pandemic, anxiety is natural, but this is also pre-pandemic. So I feel that just embrace your journey. You're in the best place. You've got the best faculty. You've got very responsive guides. Like with my personal experience, sorry, that's my alarm for my class. So I personally feel that even if it's Miss Neha Gupta, who I've messaged at 1 a.m. in the morning, I've got a reply at 1:30. so people are so helpful. The infrastructure is made by people, it's not made by a building. So the staff, the faculty, everyone is so helpful. So you are in the best place, so just enjoy it, because those 5 years are not going to come back. Like, even now when I think of South Block and the hostel, I just get emotional. So I feel that you don't have to be too serious, just focus on your studies, they'll happen anyway. Just focus, pay attention in class. And yes, one suggestion I have for every student is to keep their attendance 100%. It's not about I don't know if Jindal still gives 5 marks for attendance. Back in our days, it was 5 marks for attendance out of 100. And that was not my incentive. The incentive was the faculty. I think attend your classes. That is one sincere advice I'll give everyone. Do not miss a single class unless you really have a compelling reason. And you will realize when you get out of college and when you start working and you look back, and then you realize the kind of value addition that happened to you. But when it's actually happening to you is not when you realize it. That's what I'll say. Like, I honestly myself don't know how I got a scholarship at Berkeley. I don't think I'm the smartest person in this class. I got a fellowship and a scholarship which was based on merit, which I did not apply for, because you don't apply for it. The department chooses some people and gives it, and I will honestly say I never expected it. So it came as a surprise to me, and it came as such a surprise that I wrote back to them asking that, is this really a scholarship? Because I thought it's a hoax email. And then I told Dr. Rajkumar. He said, you can't be so silly. I said, sir, I didn't expect I'll get a scholarship here. There are 42,000 people. But I feel, just have faith, enjoy yourself, do what you're doing, and don't be too serious. For those people who want to do litigation, the one place that taught me everything about litigation, of course, basics I'm still learning, but that is Delhi High Court. I feel that it's a melting pot. You are arguing against lawyers who will be your parents' age, and you're arguing against lawyers who are your age. And I feel that for anyone who wants to enter litigation, of course, from Jindal, I think if you're from Delhi or if you get the opportunity, Delhi High Court is the best place to learn. So yeah, again, embrace the journey, have faith, and enjoy the infrastructure you have for 5 years or 3 years in Jindal. It'll like prepare you for everything ahead. That's what I'll say. Thank you.
So amazing, Aisha. I'm so delighted to hear that.
Thank you, sir.
Last, I will like to bring one question for Nisha and also her response as her closing remarks. Siddhant Mehta, one of our students, he asked a very genuine and good question for you, for us, all of us. I want Nisha to take it up. As a penultimate JGLS student, the pressure building up with your friends getting a PPO or interning at the tier 1 law firms, what would help you to stand out and come in the eyes of the recruiter? And would you suggest LLM right after completing undergrad, or getting some work experience in before applying? So I'd like to tell you, Nisha, we have 48 candidates this time who have got like a day zero placement this year from, various, some 10 different firms and even a company called HCL. And they're all a fourth-year students. So of course, those who have not got, or there are some concerns or thoughts like that. I strongly believe one should not worry at all. You just do good work. Whatever you want in life, you are going to achieve that. So over to you, Nisha. This question of Siddhant. You can see in the question and answer also. In Q&A, you can click and see the question.
No, so thank you, Siddhant. I think that's a very important question, because I think everyone feels it, whether they say it or no. People who have gotten jobs have their own set of anxieties. People who have not gotten it don't know what they want to do. Everyone has their own set of anxieties, right? Some people show it, some people don't show it. But just know that it is very normal to feel like, am I doing enough? And if you're doing enough, it's like, am I doing more than enough? It's this never-ending cycle, right? It's like what they say about money: the more you get, the more you want. So it goes back to what Aisha said of breathe, have fun, do what you're doing to the best of your ability. And that's honestly something, I think I said that when I was starting as well, that I was doing all of these things in my own time where I was doing them. I didn't have a massive goal of like, I mean, of course I had goals. I'm not saying I was aimless. I knew I wanted to do well. I knew I liked law, so I wanted to be in a certain place, etc. But it's very important to like what you're doing. People will tell you, oh, you're in law school, you've not done a single moot court competition. How is that possible? You should do moots. Like, how are you in a law school without moots? And it's ironic that I'm going to say it because I think I did a lot of moot court competitions, but I did them because I liked them, not because I thought that it was, oh, I need to do this moot court competition to get a job, or I need to do this. I loved mooting because it gave me a chance to read laws. I enjoyed reading laws and applying laws. So that's why I did it. If you think you like debating a lot, right, where people like arguing, but they don't want to necessarily do the research, do debating. Debating gives you the same skill set that moots it. Am I going to say that, oh, I did this moot court competition and I learned about this one law that changed my life? No, but what did moot court give me? It gave me the chance to research, draft, express my views in a particular way. That was the value addition. Debating also does that. So understand what you want from your life. And the moment someone tells you that this is the way to success, you need to do this in law school to get a good legal career, stop listening to them. Stop listening to them that moment, because there is no one path. Because if there was one path that was right, there would be only one or two of us who were doing well. Everyone is doing well in what they want to do well in. So figure out what makes you happy, figure out what makes you passionate, what makes you want to excel, and do that well, right? If it is, I know so many of my friends loved sports through law school, right? I had no interest in sports. They loved sports and they found a way to integrate sports into law and pursue sports law. People loved watching movies, loved media, all of that. They combined that with media law. And the thing with law is, it is in every sphere. You do not get, right? There's this joke in saying that there are two people who will never get out of jobs: lawyers or marriages. Whatever happens in the world, they will continue making money because people will continue either fighting, or like you will either help people solve fights or you will help people make deals if they want to make money. So you will do fine. You're in law, you just find what is your passion, and that is honestly the only way to do well. Three Idiots was absolutely right. If you don't like what you're doing, you will not do well in it. So don't stress out about what is happening around you. Be happy, focus, do everything you're doing to the best of your ability, and things will figure itself out. There are lots of opportunities out in the world. And the only thing I would say is definitely just keep trying new things, right? Because I know I have a lot of friends who definitely feel that I haven't found what's right for me yet. I haven't found what's clicked for me yet. That you're going to find what's right for you, what you like, by trying. If you're going to say, oh, no, but I think that doesn't sound right for me, even I thought that, oh, corporate law doesn't sound right for me, so I didn't do anything about it till 5th year. So I'm saying it as a person who now sometimes in some ways it's like, maybe I should have just tried like a proper corporate internship right at the beginning. Maybe it would have clicked. So I'm saying it from experience. Not that I regret it. Whatever I did in my 4 years where I wasn't doing corporate also has helped me become the person I am. So no experience goes to waste is another thing. And you will be fine. Just try different things. Be sincere. Be honest to yourself. The moment you feel you're not giving your 100%, that's where the problem is. I don't think the problem is anywhere else. The day you feel like, oh, I'm slacking off, pick up next day and do better. That's the only, like, I know I'm sounding like some Gyani Baba right now, giving like this worldly advice, but I genuinely, that's the only thing I believe in, that you should just be happy and do what makes you happy and do that to the best of your ability, and people will recognize that. Opportunities will come, everything will open up the moment you're true to what makes you happy, because people will see that you're trying then, and people want to help people who want to help themselves first. No one's going to spend time helping you if you just seem like you don't care about what's happening to yourself. So care to an extent. Worrying is not going to get anyone anywhere ever. If it did, then I would be at another level of like out of this world. I'll be sitting on some new planet if I worrying help, because I'm a worrier and I'm saying all of this and I don't practice what I preach, but I at least believe it. I know this is what I'm working towards, being everything. So just you'll be fine. And people get jobs first, people get jobs later, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, sometimes, it just works out. And as for whether you should do an LLM or not, I'm going to say that this goes back to the same first thing. Do an LLM if you think you want to do an LLM. Do an LLM right after law school if you think you want to continue to study law. If you think you don't want to study law immediately right after 5 years, which is fair, practice law and then do it. Don't do an LLM because it looks good on your CV, right? Do an LLM because one, you're passionate about what you want to study, and two, because you think you're ready to learn more about it, right? Don't do it for the sake of the name, because that will just take you that far. Because even if it gives you the name that you want, what are you getting out of that LLM? You're spending lakhs of rupees, most probably. You are then going to be wasting an entire year not doing something that you have your heart in, and you're doing it for someone else. And just like anything else, do it for yourself. Do it if you want to do it, right? Like that's the only reason I did my LLM, even though I already had a job, and it was an LLM in something that was not related to what my job was going to be, because that LLM I knew would make me happy. So just be happy. It's literally my only thing. If you're happy, you will be fine. So if something's not making you happy, stop doing it. Do whatever makes you happy, unless it's illegal. Then don't do it. Don't do anything illegal that makes you happy. Don't do it.
Such a good closing remarks, Nisha. And I am absolutely happy to see all of you happy. I mean, three of you. I am seeing Abhivyakti also after long time. I remember her on campus. Aisha, I think I have seen her on campus, but not interacted with. Yoshita, I met once. And Nisha, of course, I have seen you all 5 years. So it's like, it's something like a full circle for me too. I personally feel absolutely delighted the way our students of those times are pursuing their careers and life in an absolutely meaningful and constructive way in varied fields. Many of them are now teaching and researching, and purely into, in last session, one of our graduate is working with Nimhans in Bangalore, working in the mental health and child health related issues. He is not practicing law, but he is contributing to something very, very important for the world, for the country. So our time is up. I have not put an alarm like Aisha, and she has to go for her class.
Oh, no, sir.
So, any last words from Yoshita, our youngest panelist, and we'll close the session.
Nothing, sir, except that it's very exciting to hear all of these very different stories, and how everybody got the same opportunities, yet how each finalist here is on a completely different path. And this makes me very excited for what my future can hold. And currently I'm still in my first semester. It just makes me super stoked to see just what I will end up doing. And then maybe someday in the late future, maybe 10 years down the line, I can come back and say I've been here since I was in my first semester, and I'm here after 10 years. So it's just very exciting.
Great, Yoshita. Great. So good. In another 13 days, on 30th September, we'll be completing 12 years of our classes getting started. 30th September 2009 was like our foundation day. Our first class started that day for LLB and BLLB students. Some of them may join few days later, but 30th September was the day. And I will invite all of you to attend a very special event which we have created. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we are still not open, and we are waiting for the government instructions to open the campus. But it's such a pleasure to have all of you. And we will continue having this JGLS Young Scholars Colloquium, because every young student, every young lawyer is a scholar, is an agent of change, is, I will say, an instrument helping justice and rule of law in the society, and contributing to make this world a better place in your own way. So thank you so much for this amazing evening with all of you.
Thank you so
thank you,
much.
the audience, for attending it.
Thank you so much.
All the best.
It was so good to see everyone. I hope we meet soon again.
Absolutely.
Thank you.